Hey guys, what's going on? Mouse here, and I'm gonna be straightforward with you guys. This video is gonna be very important, so I highly recommend that you watch it. So I just placed Jinwoo here just to show you that we're gonna be talking about solo leveling Arise still. And our topic for this video is all about defense penetration, the fire meta, how to prepare for the future, the recommended builds that you should have based on the information that we already gathered from the past and the research that we've done. And before anything, I'd like to thank BRRR for all the hard work. Again, if you watched my previous video, he's one of the best tier crafters that we have in the SLA community, because we're going to be using a lot of the information that he was able to derive or get from research and theory crafting, and specifically the defense formula, defense penetration, how all these things work, as well as there's a new information that just came on how the defense penetration as well as the damage increase, I think, is going to be affected by the monster level. So we're going to be talking about this, and also we are going to be talking about this girl and give you guys an explanation on why the fire team is meta right now, what happened to defense penetration, why is it that this girl is now apparently has become the strongest unit in some of the major game contents that we are playing, like Guild Boss, WOBL. So is she really strong, or is it really because of easy? We're going to talk about some of the recommended builds as well that you can use, especially for normal mode as well as the hard mode of WOBL, so that you guys can prepare as well. So we're going to talk about the numbers here, the mindset that I am going to be carrying moving forward as we move deeper and deeper into the fire meta. So before we begin, I think it's also necessary that I show this to you, just so you know that this thing right here, the fire team, everything about defense, everything about builds on defense penetration, defense decrease, has always been a topic that we've been covering over the past few months, starting from the release of Soohyun. Just so you know that I'm not gonna give you some bullshit, because apparently some people are saying that I'm making meme builds or things like those. So just to show you, okay? So I was one of the very few before who actually bashed Soohyun when she got first release, so I made a video on that as well. I was literally very annoyed and pointed out some of the things that should be improved, some of the things that are not good about her, and turns out we are correct. And then most of the things that the community has mentioned in the comment section of this video specifically, for example, we got a lot of things here, lots of comments here, and most of the things that people pointed out has been fixed almost immediately. So even before the banner ended, the devs already announced that she's gonna be buffed, and a lot of the issues are gonna be fixed. We also talked about, like, this was 5 months ago, defense decrease, stacking, showed everything there, Choi, whatever. We also talked about defense penetration in-depth test, how effective are they when they stack them, how it works specifically. So this was one of the early tests that we did, and one of the most important thing here is that we discovered that monsters firstly have different defense, of course, like the bear has small defense, and then the others have higher defense, and that the damage grows exponentially as you stack more and more of defense decrease. So we've been testing Gina and the fire teams everything single time that there's going to be an update. We've been testing it a lot. So if you guys have been following me since then, you probably already know most of these, and you guys understand how powerful the defense penetration is. Although initially we didn't have any game content wherein it will be useful. So we already showcased the ignore def build even before. So this is exactly what I did on WOBL. So just know that I'm actually doing this, and this is not a meme. This is real. This build is real. And eventually the biggest finding, which is a video that I'm gonna recommend to you in case you haven't watched this yet. So BRR and I worked together on this, on figuring this out. We've tested a lot. He did the numbers, I did some of the testing, we did some theory crafting, we tested it in actual combat. And so in this video I explained in detail how defense and defense penetration works, how they stack. So the major findings here, aside from that, we found out that for the guild boss, as the rage increases, guild boss defense also increases, and the effectiveness of defense decrease also decreases. So meaning, even if you stack like the 92% with Choi weapon, defense decrease, as the rage increases, it's not gonna be 92%. It's gonna be less and less and less and less. So that is why even if you stack like Ana Ruiz, Choi, etc., the damage is not gonna be very, very exponentially high. Just to show you right here, quick graph, that the defense penetration becomes more and more effective in the guild boss as the rage increases. And finally, we are now here in the WOBL when we first showcase the build of Soohyun that melts Daimos. This is not even optimal. I'm gonna share you guys what I think personally is the best build to do here, and I'm gonna be preparing for that as well. But if you guys want to prepare that as well, it's up to you. But of course, do that only once you watch this video, because I don't want you guys to do things just because I said so. I want you guys to be able to at least gain some understanding on why this is happening, why this build works, why this build doesn't work. So we've already done all the actual combat test of Isil, and it's pretty clear that she's good. So I worked really hard over the past few days, tested this on WOBL, good. And then Simulation Gate mid, I didn't like it because there was nothing to break there. POD, massive, really massive improvement there for the fire team especially, and it's gonna improve more soon. And then Guild Boss, of course, new meta as well. So Isil is not a trash unit, fire team is not a trash unit. And I think it's already clear that the devs want to go into that direction. But of course, like any meta, it's gonna end. So again, just prepare for any meta changes that might happen. Even this fire meta will be gone. Even this fire meta will be gone. Okay? Nothing's gonna last. No meta's gonna last for a few months in a gacha game, especially for a gacha game that releases banner every few weeks. So what we have here is gonna be just a simple representation of your actual damage output once you stack your defense penetration. And what you see here is the defense formula. So this is how things work here when it comes to defense penetration or defense decrease. So here in this example, as you can see here, we've got the penetration by percent against a monster with 75% effective defense. An example of this monster is the Power of Destruction. So for this example, the damage is gonna be 250k at 0% penetration. And now once you start adding penetration, what's gonna happen is you're not gonna reduce the effective defense directly. What you're gonna do is to reduce the corresponding defense stat, and this defense stat can be computed using this formula that we are already derived for us. And so this is just the same as what you see here pretty much. So if you have like 12, 8, 5, 6 defense stat, then you're gonna get 33.96%. So penetration works like this. What you're gonna do is to reduce that defense stat and use the formula to convert that again into the effective defense percent. Now against a 75% defense monster, if you add 10% penetration, again, exact 10% passive penetration, let's just say this is a passive penetration, it's not going to be affected by monster level, then you're going to get 8.11% damage increase from that. You add further 10, you get 17.65% damage increase from that. So there's only one thing that you should really pay attention to. This one, for example, we started at 0% penetration, we added 20% penetration, and the damage increase was 17.5%. That's clear. Now, as you stack more defense penetration, that damage increase is gonna increase and increase and increase exponentially depending on the defense of the monster that we are fighting. So for example, you're already at 80% defense penetration, like in theory, okay? So this is just an example. Then you're gonna get 150% damage increase. All right? So it's not gonna be like times 4 of 17.65. Not that it's not gonna be reducing the effective defense percent by 80%. Not that you are gonna reduce the original defense stat and then reconvert it to effective defense percent. So that's how it works. Now, the most important thing here is this. Look at this. From 80% defense penetration, if you further add another 20% to reach that 100% defense penetration, look at the damage output that you're gonna get. Plus 300% damage increase. Look at this. From 90%, you add 10% defense penetration to complete the total ignore def. You have 207.69% becoming 300%. And in this graph, this is just a simple graph to show you how it behaves. It keeps on increasing. It's not gonna be like a linear thing where you reduce the damage by this percent and then that's it. So it's not gonna be that. So we have to thank BRR for this formula. Now we have a better understanding of what is happening. And that's why Choi is meta as well in POD, for example. Because if you add that, keep on adding that defense decrease, and by the way, you don't add defense decrease and defense penetration, okay? I'm just telling you that, I'm gonna explain that later, but I'm just telling you that once you either decrease or ignore the defense via penetration, the damage grows exponentially, increasing a lot to an absurd level. So we haven't tested the exact defense yet of the WOBL normal mode currently, but here's the thing. I just did a quick test, so it's not an official test, and it is likely the second boss where Jinwoo had to fight is already at 80+% effective defense, like around 82%, 83, somewhere around that value. We're gonna confirm that later, okay? And with that, again, let's check here that the damage increase, if you completely ignore all the defense, like for example, it's now possible with Soohyun, you're gonna get an absurd amount of damage increase up to fucking 400%. However, even if you add like 50%, for example, due to the way the defense works in the game, you're not gonna get a lot of damage output. Well, it's still relatively higher than, for example, comparing it to a damage increase percent, but it's not gonna be as high. So the most important thing when it comes to defense penetration and decreasing that defense, and this is the main reason why Choi is meta and Ruiz is meta, is because they provide that last defense decrease or defense penetration needed to reach this point wherein the damage is gonna go crazy. Imagine this 90% to 100%, just additional 10% is gonna give you roughly around 150% damage increase relative to your default damage without adding any pen. That 80+% was only the second boss, and I don't think it's more tanky than the first boss. So let's just say theoretically the first boss is gonna be even more tanky because it casts a defense increase buff. It's crazy. Like for example, a monster with an 85% effective defense. So again, just a quick recap. There is a corresponding defense stat using this formula, and then you convert that, you reduce that, convert it again to effective defense percent to get that final effective defense percent, right? To get your damage output. So here, for example, at 0% to 10%, you're only gonna get 9.29. Pretty decent, almost like same as like damage increase. Even if you reach 50%, you're only gonna get 73% damage increase. That's still better, right? So defense penetration in this case will work. However, if you reach this point at 80 to 100, let's say you already have total of 80% defense penetration and you're just missing like 18, you suddenly added your arm set, your damage is gonna rise from somewhere around 200% up to 566% more damage. So I've heard that there are rumors about like shadow buff on this, shadow buff on that. There's likely no such thing. It's just that reaching this point is now possible in the game, and there are now monsters who are actually very tanky and has a lot of defense. And now let's take a look. For example, let's just say we fight a monster that has a 90% from 0 to 50%, for example, or even if you like shadow step the monster, let's just say you did shadow step 60%, you're only gonna get like 117% increase. But again, from 80% at 257, if you add further 20% penetration, for example, to reach that 100%, you're gonna get 900 fucking percent of additional damage from your original damage. So from here you can see the graph. It's crazy. Okay, it's super crazy. And if you like, there's a monster like 95% or 97, 98% that's super tanky, then it's gonna be crazy. Even if you don't have like high attack or high on everything, if you just use maybe like a Black Lion set or any sources of defense penetration passive that's not going to be affected by monster level, then you're going to be able to take advantage of an absurd, insane amount of damage increase. And that is exactly the reason why WOBL Dymos is getting melted by the Fire team right now. So before, we didn't have any content that actually has, well, there are some contents that has tanky monsters wherein it will be used, but we have other meta units. So this thing is already bound to happen. So let me just explain to you what really happened there. Is it really just gonna be the defense penetration? And I honestly don't think so. And just a quick favor, guys, if you like this video or if you're gonna like it after watching the entire thing, I would highly appreciate if you leave a like or leave a comment and share it to your friends who might need it and help this video get pushed by the algorithm so that it will help my channel as well as help more people who might need the information that is going to be shared. And in case your support is still free in the SLA Content Creator Program, feel free to support me here as well. And once again, thank you so much to all of our 474 supporters. Let's get to 500, and maybe hopefully we can end up with at least 600 maybe by the end of the season. But anyway, thank you so much once again, especially to all our top supporters and everyone here, top 10, top 20, top 100. Thank you so much, guys. Your support here really helps me a lot do all of these content, motivates me to do better, and as well as, of course, helps me a lot when it comes to the resources we need to do the testing that we are doing. When it comes to testing all those banners, that really helps a lot, and we're going to continue doing so as we move forward. All right, and we still have lots of codes here to give away: gold, essence stones, elixirs, traces of shadow, lots of gold, and we still have 2 codes coming soon. So in case you still need them, feel free to support here. Yeah, thanks so much. Let's go back to our video. So Soohyun is a unit that has lots of passive defense penetration percent. So defense penetration percent passives is not going to be affected by CP, not going to be affected by monster level. So again, just in case you didn't know yet, the target's level, the monster level is going to affect your stats. So the higher the monster level, the less effective these stats will be. We're going to check it later in one of the things that BRRR just shared me today. Literally, this is just today. Okay, so we're gonna check this later. Okay, so firstly, let's just talk about Soohyun first. So Soohyun has a defense penetration from her weapon, 12%, and has a defense penetration from her buffs, 24%. Another passive here. So she has 48% defense penetration passive. Not gonna be affected by anything. So she just needs 52% to reach that point. So early on in the game, it was not possible to reach that point, even if you use the Black Lion set. And then eventually, as the game introduced more and more features and sources of stats, then it's slowly getting into that point. And I'm talking about the higher stats that you can get from your artifacts. I'm talking about the cores that gives insane amount of defense penetration as well. And I'm talking about the new units that has been implemented in the game, like Gina, who gives 8% defense penetration with the fire team. And also, just recently, Isil now gives 12% if you use a full fire team. So what happened was the game advanced in such a way we're now able to reach this point. And that 8%, that 12% is one of the reasons that made it happen. For example, in a lower level monster, I'm able to use a curse set and still reach that 100% defense penetration for that massive damage. But this one, for example, is still not enough for the guild boss. I think we need around 28k or 30k. We're gonna check that later, okay? The exact value that we needed based on the findings of PRR. Because while I'm making the video, messaged me and told me that he already figured it out. I asked him to if I can share this and include this in the video, and thankfully he agreed. So let's take PRR for. And also, one of the biggest things that happened here is the obsidian set, because expert set was not very good on Soohyun, because the frequency of Soohyun's attack is not that fast as compared to Mirai, for example. And also her magic firearm, which look like it's hitting a lot, does not actually inherit the crit rate of Soohyun, so it does not crit even. So she's having a hard time stacking those expert sets. It was shown in one of my videos, okay? So that is why when this was added, Soohyun's damage significantly increased. So every single thing that this fire team needed just came all together. And so let's discuss that part. So here in this graph, you can see here different monster levels, like 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, and 110. So on the left side is a percentage value of the defense penetration. On the x-axis, you're gonna see the stat value of defense penetration. So for example, for a level 70 monster, which is this green one, if you have a, for example, 26k defense penetration stats here, your actual defense penetration percent from your stat is only gonna be 30%. All right, so my character here, Soohyun, which is already even beyond that, 26,893 and 34.97% here. This is actually just somewhere around 30% or 31% or something. So it's not enough yet. The exact amount based on this is gonna be at around this is for the guild boss, by the way, guys. So if you're building Soohyun for the guild boss, you can do this, right? So it's gonna be at around, we need 32% for Soohyun, so it's gonna be at around 30k mark. So you just get 30k or below, like 29k, somewhere around that, then you're gonna be able to get your full penetration there. So that's the goal for now. And in my case, I'm gonna be able to do that once I limit break some of my cores, which you can see here. This one, I'm gonna limit break that and be able to reach that point easily, and that's gonna add a lot of damage output. So now, for example, we want to build for WOBL, okay? That's like 100 plus level monster, 101 or something, or in the hard mode probably even higher. But let's just say level 100, this brown one, okay? So Soohyun has 48% plus 20% total from the passives of Isil and Gina. Let's just take a look at this color. So we need 32% from the stat. And in order to get 32% from the stat here at level 100 monster, this is not even the highest level monster, what you need is not fucking possible to happen based on these findings of PRR. You have 48k defense penetration stat, and then you're only at like below 30%, I would say, like around 27.5. But of course, CP might affect this. I'm not sure. If you're blue CP or higher CP, then you might get some bonus from that. But I'm not sure if that's going to be affected. But so that being said, If you are using Soohyun and you want to fully ignore a very, very tanky high level monster, for example, this one, to get that, because 80% into going to 100% is roughly 300% already, plus 350 fucking percent damage. It might be difficult if you're just relying on the stats, because even if you stack based on this, even if you stack like 50k, you're not even gonna touch the 30%. You're not even gonna touch the 30%. So my initial plan, I'm actually hunting for Black Lion set now. It's gonna have lower TP, but in my case, my account already has like high total power. But I would not pass this chance to be able to get in close into that 100% defense penetration, because that's where the damage is. That's where the damage will be. All right. So that is my initial plan. You don't have to commit on it yet. Just save up your Black Lion. If you want, you can hunt your Black Lion set. Prepare for that time. And just in case hard mode is gonna be like extremely difficult or extremely tanky, because if you even have lower TP, your damage is gonna be even lower. Even if you add a lot of penetration on, for example, like the light team, it's not gonna work. It might help a bit, but it might not be worth the like resources that you have to spend on it. So if you don't stack them, then it might be better to just ignore it overall and just put it somewhere else. So basically, against high level monsters, if you want to completely ignore their defense, take advantage of that extreme high damage up. That's why this is the reason why a lot of people are having big success when using the fire team right now in WOBL Dimos, using a Black Lion set, even if they have like super extremely lower stats. For example, even this much stats on Soohyun with a curse set, I don't think it's stronger than like just maybe a mid Black Lion set that's gonna give me that perfect ignore defense against that first stage. Alright, so that's how important it is. In the case of guild boss, that increases and increases its defense. Once you reach that 100% defense penetration, your damage is gonna be consistent because you're not gonna be affected by those. It's because the guild boss becomes more tanky with higher rages, and most of the damages, like for example Thomas Andre, he's gonna be very strong at the first 1 minute 30 seconds, and towards the end the damage is gonna be a lot lower. Alright, so now let's put that into practice in the workshop of Brilliant Light right here. So let's try to enter this, and then let's try to rebuild our Soohyun into the optimal plan that I am expecting. And so we don't have to get a good stats, actually. I'm just gonna try some random Black Lion gears here. We don't have any boots available. I think this is a defense boots, so let's just try to find something that might be usable, even if it's just +0. Maybe this one will work, and then let's try to look for more right here. So we might need some crit rate actually, so let's try to find something that has crit rate. So this one is good, and then another thing here, we have crit rate here from the defense, because I tested Thomas Andre like second day or first day and abandoned the idea because of what I also discussed earlier. It's not gonna be, I believe, in my opinion, it's not gonna be very, very efficient to do that, and it's gonna waste a lot of resources. So this one, we just need more crit rate because that's a very high level monster. So we're just gonna use 26935 attack, some defense penetration here, and then we got here some really high advancements now on Gina and Isil. I committed on this as well, and this one is just luck. I got a 2 double pull on Isil, like 240 tickets to get another 5 copies. So I got baited again by Netmarble, but I think that's fine. We're gonna do this, and let's just cross-check the stats that we need actually. So this is a level 101 monster. Possibly it will be increased on the hard mode. So let's just base the stats that we're actually gonna use on a level 100. That's the brown one again. So how much do we need? We now have 18% from the Black Lion, and the total of 68% for the entire fire team. So that's gonna be 86%. So we only need around 14% defense penetration right now. So 14% defense penetration for a level 100 monster is somewhere around 18k defense penetration stat. So I think that should be fine. Maybe we can do 19k because that's level 101. So let's try that and see whether or not it's still gonna be effective even with only this much stat. So we have 10k crit here. All right, so we only need 18k. We probably, well, this is already okay, 32%, because we can't remove, oh no, actually we can remove one. Let's remove this. Let's just change that to something else. Maybe crit rate, because we need crit rate, guys. Okay, we need a lot of crit rates for this lineup. I'm not sure though about the overcrit, on how much really we need and how it is affected, but certainly we need a lot, just temporarily. So we now have 19k penetration. I think that should be enough for now. We're just using 8-piece grid and 8-piece blessing here. Let's just try to reduce the total power a bit more, because just in case, let's try to remove the blue total power. So we are now only at 1.1 million total power, and then we removed Biru, so we can expect less damage here. And now let's check if this is going to be effective. Remember, our Soohyun's attack is only 26k, but we are assuming that this boss is extremely tanky, and if what we discuss is actually true, then we should expect even a lot of damage here. All right, so I'm not sure if this should be like this or this should be like this, but since for the sake of testing, maybe we can just, let's just do this. All right, let's go. All right, so time to check whether or not whatever we discussed, all the theory crafting, is bullshit or not. Is it gonna be effective or not? A 26k attack Soohyun right here. Okay, let me just clear these mobs first, because since we're just testing anyway. Oops, shouldn't have used the skill, but never mind. Let's just stack more here. Just gonna check the damage. Where is he? Oops, skill issues. Trim evasion. Okay, so I think we should do this now. Let's just try a full rotation. Got the full buff. 86 HP, 73. Look at that, 50% straight, and we got caught by the animation. 50% one combo, 26k attack Soohyun, and lower stats. So I think BRR made a great job, bro. I'm surprised. I'm so fucking surprised. Well, I'm not surprised, like as in surprised, because I know what he's capable of, but this is crazy. This is white total power, by the way. Let's just check it later. Let's wait for the next mechanics. But so even these small guys are dealing a lot of damage. That's crazy. Oh my goodness. Yeah. All right, let's go. Look at that. 36 million per one hit. That's not even the Hellfire. Holy shit. Holy fucking shit. Seriously. Oh, we got 3. That's nice. We got 3. Pretty decent already for stage 1. Oh boy. Okay. Yeah. I think it's legit. Black Lion. Black Lion set. Meta. Soohyun, I'm not sure. I said earlier that we are going to be talking about Kanae, but since this video has already been too long, let's probably just save that for next time. But do let me know in the comment section what what you think about this build, what you think about Kanae will be. Do you think that she will be like Soohyun, who's going to be able to reach that 100% defense penetration? But yeah, I've already shown you. Just use enough exact amount of defense penetration. Use the black lion set. Alright, so that's gonna be it for this video. Hope you had fun. Make sure to subscribe because there will be more of this, and I'm gonna help you guys out with all the relevant information that you might need to be able to clear these stages and to be able to understand game mechanics, so that you will have more informed decisions on whether or not something is worth it or not, whether or not to put your money on it, your resources on upgrading, which artifacts is gonna be effective, things like those. So once again, thank you so much, and see you on the next video.